Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Hmm.
Today, we're taking a look at commercial real estate, but not just anywhere. We're focusing on Avon, Indiana.
Avon.
Avon, Indiana. You've probably heard of its neighbor, Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah, Indianapolis, sure.
But Avon, maybe not so much. And that's exactly why we're here.
Okay, I'm listening.
Our source for this deep dive is Kara Conde, a local expert who literally wrote the book on it. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Buying Commercial Property in Avon, Indiana.
Sounds like she knows her stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's fascinating?
What's that?
Avon is quietly becoming a gold mine for investors.
Really? A gold mine?
That's what we're hearing. It's riding the coattails of Indianapolis's economic boom, but with a much friendlier price tag. Big companies like Amazon and Eli Lilly are expanding in the region, and that's creating some really unique opportunities.
Big players, huh? What's the draw for them? Why Avon?
Well, take Amazon, for example. They're not just building any warehouse. They're investing heavily in massive distribution centers.
Huge warehouses.
Huge. And they're all geared towards same-day delivery. Avon's location, right next to Indianapolis, and its access to major highways like I-70 make it perfect for that. It's a logistical sweet spot.
I see. So industrial real estate must be pretty hot there. Is it all warehouses and distribution centers?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Eli Lilly's expansion is driving demand for something else: cold storage warehouses.
Cold storage. For what?
These facilities are essential for storing temperature-sensitive pharmaceuticals. And again, Avon's location, plus its available land and infrastructure, make it ideal for that sector.
So logistics and pharmaceuticals, that's two big wins for Avon already. What's the overall picture for commercial property values there?
It's a classic seller's market, which is great for appreciation. Basically, demand is outpacing supply. Median commercial property prices are between $300,000 and $500,000.
Wow. That's significantly lower than what you'd see in Indianapolis, right?
Oh, absolutely. Significantly lower. That affordability factor is definitely appealing. What about property taxes?
Oh, yeah, good point. Those can really add up.
Exactly. Are we talking big city rates, or is there an advantage there too?
Avon has another ace up its sleeve. Surprisingly low property taxes. Hendricks County, where Avon is located, has an average property tax rate of about 1.2%.
1.2%.
Significantly lower than surrounding counties. We're talking an average of $4,000 a year for a property in that median price range.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a game changer for an investor's bottom line. So we've got affordability, low taxes, and this perfect storm of demand from these major companies. Let's say I'm convinced. What kinds of commercial properties are actually available in Avon? What are my options?
Avon really does have something for everyone. You've got your bustling retail spaces near popular shopping centers like the one anchored by Kroger on Rockville Road.
Rockville Road, okay. Speaking of Rockville Road, Kara's guide mentions a 2,000 square foot retail space that sold for $350,000 in 2024.
Okay.
That's a 10% jump in price from just 2 years earlier.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all thanks to the new residential developments popping up nearby.
Yeah.
Think upscale townhomes, attracting young professionals, families.
Right, right.
That demographic fuels local businesses. More residents mean more foot traffic, more potential customers,
Right.
and ultimately higher property values.
Makes sense. It all ties together.
Absolutely. That's a perfect example of how Avon's residential growth is feeding its commercial success.
Yeah.
But let's talk location. What are the hotspots in Avon?
Well, the US 36 corridor, which includes Rockville Road, is definitely the main artery for retail.
Right.
High visibility, tons of traffic. It's a prime spot for businesses that want to capture that consumer flow.
Got it. US 36 for retail. What about other types of properties? Where should I look for those?
For industrial spaces, look no further than the areas around Ronald Reagan Parkway.
Ronald Reagan Parkway.
Its proximity to I-70 makes it a logistical dream for warehousing and distribution operations. And then you've got Avon Lakes, which is more of a residential hub.
Avon Lakes. That sounds more like a place for condos, not commercial real estate.
True, but that strong residential base creates a demand for a different kind of commercial space.
Okay, like what?
Think about those everyday needs. Small offices for service businesses, medical facilities, maybe even a boutique fitness studio.
Ah, so it's about tapping into that built-in community.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But Kara also really emphasizes having a local expert on your side, someone like herself.
Okay, yeah.
Why is that so crucial in a market like Avon?
Well, Avon's market is dynamic.
Dynamic, okay.
You've got those broader trends like Amazon and Eli Lilly's influence, but then there are also micro trends within specific neighborhoods that can really impact property values.
I see.
Someone like Kara, who's deeply embedded in the community, can spot those emerging opportunities before they even hit the radar.
So it's about more than just knowing the neighborhoods. It's about understanding the forces that are shaping them.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
She can point you towards those off-market deals.
Oh, those are always nice.
Or properties in areas that are about to experience a surge in development.
Wow.
That's the kind of insider knowledge that can give you a significant advantage.
All right, let's say I'm ready to take the plunge. Kara's guide outlines this whole step-by-step process for buying commercial property in Avon. Where do I even begin?
It all starts with clarity. You need to define your investment goals.
Investment goals, okay.
Are you chasing steady passive income through leasing?
Okay.
Are you aiming for capital gains from appreciation? Or maybe you're a business owner looking for a custom space.
So there are different paths to success in Avon, different approaches.
Absolutely. Understanding your goals will dictate your entire approach. Someone looking for quick returns might target a fixer-upper in an up-and-coming area, while someone with a longer horizon might prioritize a stable, tenant-ready property.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's say I'm all about that passive income life. What kind of returns are we talking about in Avon?
Well, rental rates vary, of course, depending on the type of property and location. Retail spaces along that busy US 36 corridor typically command higher rents, while office spaces in Avon Lakes might be slightly lower. But overall, the rental market in Avon is healthy, which means there's a solid potential for passive income.
Okay, that passive income is sounding pretty good right now.
Yeah.
But Kara's guide also stresses having a realistic budget. What kind of numbers are we talking about for commercial properties in Avon? Give me a ballpark.
You've got a surprisingly wide range, actually. You could snag a small office space for around $250,000 or go big with a multi-tenant retail strip for $750,000 or more.
Okay, so there's quite a range.
There is.
All right, so we've got our goals figured out. We have a general idea of the budget. What's the next step in Kara's process? What do we do next?
Now it's time to really dig deep into Avon's market.
Dig deep. Okay.
We've already touched on some key areas like the US 36 corridor for retail and Ronald Reagan Parkway for industrial spaces. But within those areas, there are micro markets with their own unique characteristics and growth potential.
So online resources like LoopNet and CoStar can give me a general overview.
Yeah,
But local knowledge is key to uncovering those hidden gems.
exactly. And Kara highlights some specific areas to pay attention to. For example, the stretch of Rockville Road just west of the I-70 interchange is experiencing a surge in development.
Really?
Yeah, it's thanks to its easy highway access and its proximity to those new Amazon facilities.
So that makes sense. Okay, so we're looking at Rockville Road for industrial and retail, Ronald Reagan Parkway, more industrial, and then Avon Lakes for those community-focused businesses.
Right.
What about the financial side of things? How does financing work for commercial real estate in Avon?
Well, there are the traditional routes like commercial loans from banks.
Right.
Those typically require a down payment of 20 to 30% and a good credit score.
Okay.
But Avon also has a few unique advantages.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Tell me more.
For starters, local credit unions in Hendricks County are known for their competitive rates and their willingness to work with local investors. You might be able to secure a loan with a slightly lower down payment or a more favorable interest rate than you'd get from a national bank.
That's great to know.
Isn't it?
Are there any other financing options specifically tailored to Avon?
Well, the town of Avon actively encourages commercial development.
Okay.
They've even got a program called Avon Advantage, which offers tax abatements and other incentives to attract new businesses and stimulate investment.
Wow.
That can be a huge plus for those looking to build or redevelop a property.
So traditional loans, local credit unions, and these special incentives from the town. What's the catch? It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, in a fast-moving market like Avon, pre-approval is absolutely essential.
Pre-approval, okay.
It shows sellers that you're serious and that you have the financial backing to close the deal quickly.
Makes sense.
You wouldn't want to miss out on a great opportunity because you weren't prepared. And having a lender who understands the specifics of Hendricks County can make the entire underwriting process much smoother. They'll be familiar with the local market conditions and the nuances of those town incentives.
So it sounds like finding the right lender is almost as important as finding the right property.
You got it. It's all part of the same puzzle. And speaking of finding the right property, that's where Kara Conde's expertise really shines.
All right, so we've got our financing in place. We're pre-approved. We're working with a lender who knows the local market, and we've got Kara Conde on our side. What's next? Do we just start scouring listings on LoopNet?
LoopNet and CoStar are great starting points, but remember, those databases only capture a portion of the market.
Right, right.
You mentioned off-market deals earlier.
Oh, yeah, those are always the best.
Those are where having a local expert like Kara makes all the difference.
Okay, so they're not just a myth.
No, they're real.
But-
She's got her finger on the pulse of the market. She knows about properties that haven't even hit the market yet, and she can connect you with sellers who might be open to a private sale.
So she's like a real estate ninja, finding those hidden opportunities before anyone else.
Exactly.
I like it.
She's got a network of contacts. She attends local events. She's always on the lookout for those under-the-radar deals.
Okay, let's say Kara has presented me with a few promising properties. How do I actually evaluate them? What should I be looking for?
This is where your initial research and goal setting really come into play. You need to prioritize location based on the type of property you're seeking and your investment strategy.
Okay, so if I'm aiming for retail, those busy shopping centers, anchored by big names like Kroger or Target, those are going to be prime locations.
Exactly. They offer high visibility, lots of foot traffic, a built-in customer base. If you're focused on industrial properties, those areas around Ronald Reagan Parkway with their easy access to I-70 are going to be more your style.
Okay, and what about those smaller community-focused businesses we talked about earlier?
For those, you'd want to look at properties within established residential areas like Avon Lakes, where you've got that built-in customer base right on your doorstep.
All right, but it's not just about finding the right general area, right?
Right.
I also need to consider the condition of the individual properties.
Absolutely. A fixer-upper might be tempting because of its lower price tag, but you need to factor in those potential renovation costs. Let's say you find a property for $300,000 that needs $50,000 in upgrades.
Okay.
If you can lease it out for a solid return after those renovations, it might be a great deal. But you need to compare that to a turnkey property priced at $400,000 that might require less upfront investment.
So how do I compare those different scenarios apples to apples? How do I know which property is the better investment?
That's where the concept of cap rate comes in.
Okay, cap rate. I've heard that term thrown around, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Cap rate, or capitalization rate, is simply a way to measure the potential return on your investment.
Okay.
It's calculated by dividing the property's net operating income by its market value.
Okay, so give me an example. Let's say I'm looking at a property with a net operating income of $20,000 and a market value of $250,000. What's the cap rate?
In that case, the cap rate would be 8%.
8%, okay.
It means for every $100,000 you invest, you can expect to generate $8,000 in annual net income.
So a higher cap rate generally means a better return on my investment.
Exactly. And in Avon, cap rates typically range between 7 and 9%.
Okay.
That's considered a healthy range for a market with strong growth potential like Avon.
So when I'm touring properties, I shouldn't just focus on the aesthetics. I need to think about the numbers,
Yes,
the potential rental income, the operating expenses, and that cap rate.
you got it. And beyond the financials, there are practical considerations specific to each property type. If you're looking at a warehouse, for example, ceiling height is crucial. You need to make sure it can accommodate the needs of potential tenants.
Okay, that makes sense. And if it's a retail space, parking availability is key.
Exactly. It's about thinking like a tenant. What would make them choose your property over another?
And of course, Kara Conde is there to guide me through this entire process.
Absolutely. She can help you spot potential red flags, crunch those numbers, and make sure you're considering all the factors that will impact your bottom line.
Well, it sounds like we've covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about Avon's unique advantages, the different types of properties available, the importance of setting clear investment goals, and the financial side of things, including those amazing local credit union options.
We've also touched on the importance of having a local expert like Kara Conde on your side to navigate this dynamic market and uncover those hidden opportunities.
So what's next on our deep dive into Avon's commercial real estate? Where do we go from here?
All right, so we found a few properties that look promising, good locations, solid numbers, and they seem to fit my investment goals. What happens next? What's the next step?
Now we get to the really important part, due diligence.
Due diligence. Okay. I know it's important, but to be honest, it always sounds a bit intimidating. What does that actually mean? What does it entail in a place like Avon?
Think of it as your insurance policy.
My insurance policy. Okay.
Yeah, it's about protecting yourself from costly surprises down the road.
All right, that makes sense. So, what are the key things I need to be looking at? What are the big things?
Kara's guide breaks it down into four main areas.
Four main areas, all right?
Zoning, environmental concerns, title searches, and of course a thorough inspection.
Okay. Zoning, I know that's important, but how does that actually play out in a place like Avon?
Well, Avon actually has a unified development ordinance.
And it's very specific about what's permitted in different zones. It's not just about preventing a factory from popping up in a residential neighborhood.
Right.
It's also about making sure that businesses complement each other and contribute to a cohesive community.
So I could find the perfect property, fall in love with it, put in an offer, and then have my dreams dashed because it turns out I can't legally operate my business there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's say you're looking at a property on Rockville Road, thinking you'll open a trendy little coffee shop.
Okay, love coffee.
But that particular stretch might be zoned for retail only,
Oh, no.
meaning no food service allowed.
Oh, that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So how do I avoid that kind of nightmare scenario? How do I make sure I don't run into that?
Confirm the zoning up front.
Okay.
And this is where a local expert like Kara is invaluable. She knows the ins and outs of Avon zoning regulations, and she can steer you toward properties that actually align with your business goals.
Okay, zoning check. What about environmental reports?
Mm.
Are those really necessary? I mean, Avon seems like a pretty nice place.
Well, even in a town as nice as Avon, environmental concerns can lurk beneath the surface.
Oh, okay.
Think about older properties.
Right.
They might have hidden issues. Asbestos, lead paint, things that can require really costly remediation.
So I shouldn't just assume that a property is safe just because it looks nice on the outside.
Exactly. An environmental report, it'll delve into the property's history, assess any potential risks, and give you a clear picture of what you're dealing with. It's really an investment in peace of mind, especially if you're considering a property with a history of industrial use.
All right, environmental concerns noted. Next up, title searches. What's the big deal with those? Why are those so important?
Title searches are all about uncovering any hidden legal issues that could affect your ownership rights.
Oh, okay.
Leases, encumbrances, easements, anything that could cloud the title and potentially lead to headaches down the road.
So it's like making sure I'm actually buying what I think I'm buying?
Precisely. A clear title is absolutely crucial for a smooth transaction. And in Avon, there are a few unique things to watch out for.
Oh, like what?
Well, some older properties might have easements related to drainage or utility lines.
Okay.
That could impact your development plans.
So I need to make sure those easements won't interfere with my vision for the property.
Exactly. A title search will uncover those details and give you all the information you need to make an informed decision.
Okay, so we've covered zoning, environmental reports, and title searches. That brings us to inspections. What should I be looking for during a property inspection in Avon?
Well, a professional inspector, they're going to assess the property from top to bottom, looking for any structural issues, plumbing problems, electrical hazards, roof damage, anything that could affect the property's safety and its value.
So it's like a physical for the building.
Basically, but Avon actually has very strict building codes
Oh.
and a very proactive building department,
Okay.
which is great for quality construction. But it also means you need to pay close attention to compliance issues during the inspection.
Compliance issues. What kind of things are we talking about?
Let's say you're looking at a warehouse property. Avon's building code might have specific requirements for fire suppression system,
Okay.
sprinkler systems, or even the number and placement of emergency exits.
So if the property doesn't meet those requirements, I could be on the hook for some pretty costly upgrades.
Exactly. And those are the kinds of details that an experienced inspector familiar with Avon's codes will be able to identify.
Okay, inspections check. So I've done my due diligence, I'm feeling confident about the property, and I'm ready to make an offer. What's the best strategy in a market like Avon's? It seems like it's pretty competitive.
Crafting a compelling offer is absolutely essential in a market as hot as Avon's. You really need to stand out from the crowd. Show the seller that you're serious.
So what makes an offer stand out? Is it all about the price? Do I just need to offer the highest price?
Price is definitely a key factor, and you might need to be prepared to go above the asking price. But there are other ways to make your offer more attractive.
Like what? What else can I do?
Well, Avon sellers, they often prioritize a quick and smooth closing process. So if you can demonstrate that you're pre-approved for a loan and that you're willing to close quickly, that can be a major advantage.
So being organized and efficient can actually give me a leg up in negotiations.
Absolutely. Sellers are much more likely to choose an offer that looks like a sure thing. They don't want to deal with delays or uncertainties.
Okay, speed and efficiency, got it. What about contingencies? How do those work in Avon?
Contingencies are those clauses in your offer that allow you to back out of the deal if certain conditions aren't met.
Right.
For example, a financing contingency that protects you in case you're unable to secure a loan.
Right, but I've heard that too many contingencies can make an offer less appealing. Is that true?
That is true. Sellers want to feel confident that the deal will go through. So you need to strike a balance between protecting your own interests and presenting a clean, straightforward offer.
Okay, so what's the sweet spot? What kind of contingencies are typically used in a place like Avon?
Financing and inspection contingencies, those are pretty standard.
Okay.
But you want to keep them as tight as possible. For example, instead of asking for a 45-day financing contingency, you might propose 30 days,
Okay.
showing the seller you're serious about moving things along.
And what about inspection contingencies? How much leeway should I ask for there?
In Avon, it's pretty common to have a 10-day inspection period.
10 days. For
That gives you enough time to conduct a thorough inspection and identify any potential deal breakers.
Okay, so I need to be strategic with my contingencies. Keep them tight, keep them reasonable to show the seller that I'm a serious buyer. But let's face it, negotiations can get a little tricky sometimes. Is there anything else I can do to increase my chances of success?
This is where Kara Conde's negotiation skills really come into play.
Okay, good.
She knows the local market inside and out, and she can leverage that knowledge to your advantage.
You've mentioned her negotiation skills before. Give me an example. Give me a concrete example of how she might approach negotiations in Avon.
Okay, let's say you're interested in a retail property near a busy intersection. The seller's asking top dollar, arguing that high traffic volume justifies the price.
Okay, makes sense.
Para might dig a little deeper, analyzing traffic patterns, peak hours, and she might discover that a significant portion of that traffic is just passing through, not actually stopping to shop.
Oh, interesting. So she's using data and local knowledge to challenge the seller's assumptions.
Exactly. She might then present that data to the seller, arguing that the actual foot traffic to the property is lower than they claim, and that justifies a price reduction.
Wow, that's some next level negotiation.
Mhm.
Okay, let's say my offer's been accepted, all contingencies have been met, we're heading towards closing. What's the closing process like in Avon? What should I expect there?
The closing process in Avon is pretty straightforward.
Okay, good.
But there are a few things to keep in mind.
Okay.
First, you'll want to choose a reputable title company, one that's familiar with Hendricks County's specific procedures.
Are there any title companies in Avon that you recommend?
Hendricks County Title is a great option. They've got a solid reputation, and they've handled countless commercial real estate transactions in Avon.
Okay, Hendricks County Title, I'll make a note of that. What else should I know about closing in Avon?
Well, Avon actually has a streamlined online portal for permit applications.
That's helpful.
This can really speed up renovations, get your property generating income even faster. So make sure you understand those timelines and factor those into your overall plan.
So I can get a head start on that permitting process even before closing.
Exactly. It's that kind of proactive approach that can save you time and money down the road.
All right, so we've talked about zoning, environmental reports, title searches, inspections, crafting a compelling offer, negotiating with the seller, navigating the closing process.
Right.
Is there anything else I need to know before I officially become a commercial property owner in Avon?
Well, you've got all the essential knowledge to make a really smart investment decision.
Okay.
You understand the market, you've done your due diligence, and you're prepared for the closing process. Now it's just a matter of taking that final step and making it happen.
I'm feeling pretty confident, but I have to admit I'm still a little nervous about what happens after I close. What are the next steps? What does it actually mean to be a commercial property owner in Avon?
All right, so the deal is done. I've signed all the papers. I've got the keys in my hand. I'm officially a commercial property owner in Avon. Now what? What do I do now?
Now the fun begins.
Okay.
You've got this valuable asset, this piece of a thriving market, and it's time to make it work for you. All right, so let's talk about leasing. I'm all about that passive income stream. What's the first step in finding good tenants? Where do I even start?
Well, think back to our discussion about property evaluation. Those same factors that made a property attractive to you are going to appeal to potential tenants.
So location is still king.
Absolutely. A retail space along a busy corridor like US 36, that's naturally going to draw in more foot traffic than one tucked away on a side street.
Okay, prime location check. What about setting rental rates? How do I strike that balance, attracting tenants, but also maximizing my return on investment?
That's where your market research comes in.
Okay,
You need to understand what comparable properties in Avon are renting for.
so I can't just, pull a number out of thin air.
Not if you want to be successful. Factors like property size, condition, amenities, even the specific block can all influence those rental rates.
Okay, so that's where Kara's local expertise comes in handy again.
Exactly. She can provide those really granular insights and help you set competitive yet profitable rates.
All right, I've got the rent set. I've got a few interested parties. How do I vet potential tenants? What am I looking for?
Don't skip the due diligence, even
Okay.
at this stage.
Okay, so due diligence never really ends, does it?
It's an ongoing process. Credit checks, background checks, those are an absolute must. You want to make sure your tenants are financially responsible
Right.
and that they have a good track record.
What about those, personal touches? Can I trust my gut feeling on somebody?
Gut feelings are valuable, but so are concrete references. Talk to previous landlords, ask about their payment history, their overall experience with the tenant.
All right, so I've found my ideal tenant. We've signed a lease. They've moved in. Now, the big question, do I manage the property myself or hire a property manager?
That's the classic landlord dilemma.
It is.
It really depends on your personal preferences, your available time, and your comfort level with handling those day-to-day responsibilities.
Okay, break it down for me. What are the pros and cons of each approach?
Well, self-managing, it definitely gives you more control. You're the one collecting the rent, handling maintenance requests, dealing directly with tenants. It can be a lot of work,
Okay.
but you also keep all of the profits.
So more work, more reward.
Mhm.
What about hiring a property manager? What does that look like?
A property manager takes care of everything for a fee,
Yeah.
typically a percentage of the rent.
Okay.
They screen tenants, they collect the rent, handle repairs, even deal with those late-night plumbing emergencies.
That's pretty tempting, especially if, I'm not the most handy person.
It's definitely a trade-off. You're paying for convenience, you're paying for expertise, but you're also giving up a portion of your rental income.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Is there a certain type of investor that typically goes with a property manager?
You know, investors who live far away from their properties often choose to go this route.
Okay.
It eliminates the need to be physically present for every little issue. It's also a good option for those who simply don't have the time or the desire to deal with those day-to-day hassles of property management.
All right, I think I've got a handle on the leasing side of things now. But Kara's guide also mentions this possibility of redevelopment. Is that something that I should be thinking about? Is that something that the average investor should consider?
Redevelopment can be a huge game changer, especially in a dynamic market like Avon. It's about transforming a property to meet the evolving needs of the community.
Okay, give me an example. What kind of redevelopment projects are we talking about?
Imagine an older strip mall that's struggling to attract tenants. You could redevelop that space into a mixed-use property with retail on the ground floor and apartments above.
So I'm essentially creating a new, more desirable asset.
Exactly. Or maybe you have a vacant lot in a prime location. You could build a multi-story building with office space, retail space, even a rooftop restaurant. The possibilities are pretty much endless, especially given Avon's growth trajectory.
Sounds exciting, but also incredibly complex. Where do I even begin with something like that?
Redevelopment requires very careful planning, and this is where Kara's expertise really shines. She can help you assess the feasibility of your ideas, navigate that zoning and permitting process, and connect you with reputable contractors, architects.
So it's not just about having a great idea. It's about having the right team to actually execute it.
Exactly. Redevelopment is a team effort, and having a seasoned local expert like Kara on your side can make all the difference.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Avon's commercial real estate market.
We have.
From finding the perfect property to due diligence to navigating those post-closing decisions, it's clear there's a lot to consider.
There is, but one thing is for sure. Avon offers incredible potential for those seeking growth, affordability, and a strong sense of community.
It's a town on the rise.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a unique opportunity around every corner.
And whether you're chasing passive income through leasing, considering a long-term hold for appreciation, or even dreaming big with redevelopment, Avon has something to offer everyone.
You know, I started this deep dive unsure if Avon was even on my radar. But now I'm seeing it in a whole new light.
It's a hidden gem that's quickly becoming a favorite among savvy investors. And with the right guidance, you too can unlock the potential of Avon's commercial real estate market.
Well, that's it for this deep dive into Avon, Indiana. We hope you've enjoyed the journey and learned something new along the way.
Until next time, happy investing.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.